Hey everybody, this is Joel. I'm down at Boom Comics in Topeka, and today I'm talking about the four eras of the Dryden Experiment. This is the third of the fourth era, which is the Dark. So, just to bring you up to speed, we have for the last 40,000 years of galactic history been in an era called Belle Epoque, which is sort of Star Wars style empires, flying organic spaceships, and fairly soft sort of science fiction, much more interest sort of in the space opera kind of vision of the future rather than the hard sci-fi vision of the future. And all that comes to the end abruptly at about 40,000 years into the future when a species called the Technoprey rise up. And the Technoprey were designed by Gavin Revitt, who's an artist out of Sheffield, England, works with us a lot. And the Technoprey sort of act as a cleaner, sort of reset the stage for us in terms of the galactic future because they live in gas giant stars and are previously undetected by humans or other technologies or other races, although there have been a couple of encounters with them. They appear in Alder's world, for example. But they live in gas giant planets, and they're dormant for most of their life cycle. But then, sort of like cicadas in summer, once every 40,000 years or so, they go through their breeding cycle. They come rising up out of the gas giant planets, and they fall on any energy source that they can find and just demolish it. And this explains why it is that we don't have advanced technological civilizations in our portion of the galaxy already, because it was fairly recently in the history that the Technoprey passed through from the 21st century our time and destroyed all of the local galactic civilizations. And 40,000 years in the future, they rise up and attempt to do so again. Or don't even attempt to do so. They have this sort of hive mentality. They just do it because it's in their nature to behave that way. But something unexpected happens this time through, and that is that the Europan recognizes what's happening. The Europan evolved on the undersea oceans of Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter, and has control of a lot of human space throughout the Belle Epoque. And he makes a terrible, terrible mistake. He tries to intermix Europan technologies with the Technoprey technology with the idea of creating hunters that will hunt down the Technoprey and exterminate them. And these are called the Scourge. The problem that happens is that the Scourge begin to mutate incredibly fast. They just, every time you meet one, it's a new creature, it has a new set of skills, it has a new set of abilities, and they just wreak havoc all the way across the galaxy. And along with that, there has been some sort of advances in, I don't know if you'd call it dimensional portaling or whatever that Eugene Kelly is working on that has brought sort of dark entities, powerful, almost sort of magical seeming creatures into being in a very sort of Cthulhu-esque nightmare dimensional creatures kind of way. And powerful dark forces are moving around the galaxy at the same time. Matched with this is a set of creatures that Gavin Revitt has invented that aren't actually particularly dark. They are called reflectives. And they live in a sort of a parallel quantum state to Earth, to our physical reality. And as humans have gotten into materials that can shift quantum shapes, occasionally you'll see things that appear to be sort of reflected on the surface that aren't actually there. And they are an entire new class of being that has lived parallel to us since the creation of the universe. And they explain why things like ghosts and other supernatural phenomena exist, is because occasionally, accidentally, those quantum fluctuations will occur and you'll perceive things that shouldn't be there. And they have been investigating our universe. The first known interaction between them and us, we didn't even realize happened. It happened when we turned the CERN super collider on, and suddenly there was eruption in space on their side. And they've been trying to investigate us and study us, and in fact have acted as sort of crew members on ships as early as the 23rd or 2400s. Well, they continue their investigation of our universe in the dark, and sometimes it's very disturbing just because we perceive it as supernatural phenomenon when in fact it's them exploring our dimensions. And so we enter a very sort of dark, nightmarish, twisted, age of madness. It's called the Dark, and dark things happen there, and it's bloody, and it's full of space monster kind of creatures and ghosts and haunted experiences, and it's very ugly and it's very dark. And there's really no emphasis on the science. This is a place for horror writers, guys who like creepy stuff, things with blood and fangs and tentacles, and things that rise up out of nightmares. And it lasts sort of an indeterminate time into the future. We have one empire that Eugene Kelly is working on that rises up early in the dark, but it only survives for about 500 years while the scourge is moving around. What happens with that empire, it's a sort of almost kind of nationalist empire. It's a resurgence of humans against alien technologies, and one of their big quests is to find the Earth. Shortly after the scourge rise up, all contact is lost with the Earth, and it actually continues to exist. The University of Antarctica even is still on it, but it is out of contact with the rest of the galaxy for a considerable period of time as we descend into the dark, and Eugene's folks are hunting for it. So if you like to write nightmares, if you like to draw nightmares, if you like, of course, Cthulhu is its own trademarked entity, and you couldn't write Cthulhu, but if you like those sort of nightmarish creatures and are looking for a place that you can explore them that's out of the Creative Commons and in an open licensing model, this is the place to do it. Do it in the dark. The dark lasts an unknown amount of time. It doesn't really end. Eventually the scourge just kind of burn out and the galaxy stabilizes, and we give rise to Codex 2, which is what the video that I'm going to do here in just a minute is. All right, so I'm Joel. This is Boom Comics, and that was The Dark.